Hi, welcome to Creative Writing Getting Started. This webinar is based on the book Unblock Writer's Block, How to Face It, Deal with It, and Overcome It by yours truly, Paul Lima. You can read about the book at paullima.com/books. Now, if you're quivering thinking, oh, this webinar is all about selling me books, it isn't. I can't give you for free the print, EPUB, or Kindle copy of the book. But if you're interested in the book, wait till the end of this webinar. You'll get my email address. Email me, and I'm happy to send you the PDF. Please request the PDF of Unblock Writer's Block. I will send you that absolutely free. In fact, if there are 2 or 3 other books at paullima.com/books that you would like, just let me know. I'll send them to you absolutely free. This is not about selling books. This is about helping you get started with your creative writing. A little bit about me before we plunge in. I'm going to keep this brief. I live in Toronto, Ontario. I've been a professional writer and writing trainer for 35 plus years. You can read more about me and what I do at paullima.com. Enough said. That's me. I'm your webinar instructor. Here we go. One other thing about me I'd like to tell you. I have MS, multiple sclerosis. I have a disease I can't even pronounce. It has a physical impact on me. I've had it for 20 plus years, and I have written 20 plus books since my diagnosis, including 3 novels, a collection of short stories, and nonfiction books on various aspects of writing. So if I can write based on desire, overcome my physical limitations, you can too. Maybe my MS has motivated me to write. You have to find your motivation. So enough about me. I said I wasn't going to say much, but I did want to tell you that. Oops, there we go. Okay, so what is the webinar going to be about? Here's the agenda. I'm going to give you a webinar overview, a few words for thought, tell you about the Daily Writer's Journal. We're going to look at freefall, both undirected and directed, clustering, how to move from clustering to freefall, and how to move from clustering to outline, and then I'll tell you about the next webinar, outlining your fiction and nonfiction books, getting to the point where it's all over but the writing, the point where any professional writer wants to be. Again, this is a getting started webinar. I will have other webinars, no cost. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, I've been writing for 35 years. I use all the techniques that I'm going to be telling you about. Most professional writers use them. You don't have to be a professional writer to use them. So let's get on with the webinar overview. First of all, at any point, because I'm going to give you writing exercises to do, press pause on YouTube and do the writing exercises. For instance, if you don't have pen and paper in front of you, press pause and go and get it. A lot of the exercises are best done with pen and paper unless you're a fast typist, and typing will not interfere with your writing. Few folks may have some disabilities that prevent them from writing or typing. If you have a voice recorder, you can record your voice doing the exercises. So you can write. If you're a good typist, you can type. If you can't use your hands to write, to type, use a voice recorder. So this webinar is ideal for people who are getting started with their writing, coming back to writing, so you've written, you stopped, you want to get back into it, looking to explore your interest in writing, you're not sure if you want to write or not, take the webinar, find out, looking to explore your creativity. A lot of the exercises we do today will help you explore your creativity. And so even if you don't want to write a novel or a full book, nonfiction, but you want to write blog posts or just something short, This is a good way to explore your creativity and help you produce what you want to do. If you want to enhance your thinking and your writing, this webinar will help you. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, the exercises I give you today will help you think and write. And if you want to start a novel or a nonfiction book, this is a great place to get started. So that's a bit of an overview about the webinar. With that in mind, here's a few words for thought. What the writer often lacks is not ideas, but a means of getting in touch with them. So you've got ideas, but they're not conscious. You need to get in touch with them. So this webinar is going to show you how to get in touch with your ideas, with your creative ideas. That's a quote from Gabrielle Rico. Google them and find out who she is and what she's written. Anyway, the techniques presented in this webinar will help you get in touch with idea seeds. Once planted, they can blossom. And so this webinar is going to help you get in touch and plant your idea seeds. Not every seed will blossom, nor should they. You can have 10 ideas. That doesn't mean you're going to write 10 books. Your job, and what this webinar is going to help you do, is to cultivate and nurture the seeds that seem healthiest, the ones you should pursue, the ones you should write about. So, ideas, they're there, but they may be in your subconscious. This webinar will help you get in touch with them, help you choose the seeds you want to plant, help you nurture them, the healthy seeds, help you produce writing based on those seeds. Anyway, talk. What about writing? I suggest you keep a daily writer's journal. And don't let the word daily intimidate you. It's something you can do 2, 3, 4, 5 days a week. But what is a writer's journal? Is it paper or computer? I suggest it's something you do with paper, although there may come times when you feel like you're on a roll and you want to switch to your computer. If you are a good typist and can set up the journal on your computer, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's good to use paper if you can, because it's more organic and helps you get in touch with your ideas. And again, if you can't physically write, you may want to record your writer's journal's thoughts. Why keep a writer's journal? I don't know if any of you have ever done any artwork. You know how artists do gesture sketches? They do a lot of practice. Not every gesture sketch becomes a painting. Most of them don't become paintings or pictures. It's just a way to exercise their artistry. And your writer's journal is a way for you to exercise your thinking process and your writing process. It's not a diary. I don't have a problem if you put diary type entries in your writer's journal, because what you want to do is write. I'm going to show you some techniques, freefall and clustering, and you can use them to write in your writer's journal. They're just your thoughts. Every once in a while your thoughts will seem to coalesce. It looks like you're forming something. Fine. Get out of the journal, get into writing. Short story, novel, a book of nonfiction. But the writer's journal is where you plant the seeds, where you nourish them. See what sprouts, see what blossoms, see what becomes actual writing. And again, most of it won't. These are gesture sketches. You're exercising your writing thoughts, your writing ability. So up to 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week. That's 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes. 3, 4, 5 days a week. Writer's journal, if you really want to write. And then on occasion, you will feel like you are onto something and you can move beyond your writer's journal. Start a short story, start a novel, start a book of nonfiction, start your memoir. but the journal is where you plant the seeds. So there you go. How many slides are we into this webinar? And you already have homework. So now I really want to get started with creative writing. I'm going to give you a series of exercises to do. The first one is freefall. We're going to look at two types of freefall. Freefall is also known as writing without a parachute. Free-falling, you jump from the plane, your parachute isn't ripped open, so you're free-falling. And it's known as stream of consciousness. So it's just writing, falling freely. It helps you separate your writer from your editor or censor. It's like writing without thinking. You're not editing your work, you're not censoring yourself. It is recommended that you use freefall for journaling, and we will talk more about freefall, what it is and how to do it. It will help you discover, over time, ideas that may become stories. It will help you explore potential ideas. So you have a seed, it seems to be blossoming, you can explore it. It goes nowhere, fine, move on. That gesture sketch is completed. It goes somewhere, it seems to be developing, turning into a story, you pursue it. Freefall. So the first kind of freefall is undirected. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you exercises here. You push pause on the YouTube video and go do them. Otherwise, you're just listening to me pontificate and you're not doing any writing. So freefall, how do you do it? Simply put, you write for 5 to 10 minutes without purpose and without stopping and without correcting your work. You write freely from word to word to word. Notice after without stopping I use ellipses. If your mind goes blank, use ellipses, ... until you connect with your thoughts and continue to write. No purpose in free falling. No stopping, no editing to correct your work. So are you ready? Hover over the pause button. Make sure your pen and paper are in place, or you've got a computer file open, or you've got your voice recorder if you're going to record this. Hit pause on your mark. Get set. Free fall. 5 or 10 minutes. Without purpose, without stopping, without editing. See what you can produce. Go for it. Free fall. Welcome back. I hope you did pause and you took 5 or 10 minutes to free fall. And if it felt uncomfortable, if it was your first time doing it, don't worry about it, because you're going to get better and better at it as you use free fall in your daily writer's journal. The next form of free fall I want to introduce you to is called directed free fall. It's where you have an opening line. I'm going to give you a series of opening lines. You're going to hit pause. You're going to write the opening line and then free fall. Again, I don't care where the opening line leads you. Don't feel you have to produce a story. I just want you to write without censoring yourself. But I'm just giving you a place to start. Where it leads you, I don't know. So I'm going to read out the opening line, you're going to hit pause, and then you're going to go for 5 or 10 minutes. You're going to free fall and see what you do. Your first opening line. Whoops, sorry about that. It took me a long time to hit pause, write for 5 or 10 minutes, starting with, it took me a long time to, and free fall. Welcome back. I don't know if that was different than undirected free fall, if it was more comfortable, less comfortable, if it led you someplace, if it didn't. There's no right or wrong way to do this. Well, there's a right way. The right way is to write without censoring yourself, without stopping. There's really no wrong place to go. With that in mind, you ready to start another directed freefall? We're going to take another 5 or 10 minutes. And hey, if you're tired, put this YouTube video into your favorites and come back to this tomorrow. But I think you've got another 5 or 10 minutes in you. So here's your opening line. Get ready to hit pause. I feel this way because, and free fall, using that line to start. I feel this way because. See you in 5 minutes, folks. Welcome back. Going to give you another opening line. Again, we're just gesture sketching. We're having fun. We're maybe feeling frustrated. We want to go back and edit, but we're not editing. We're just seeing what we can produce. We're exercising our creative self. So with that in mind, I'm giving you an opening line. You take 5 or 10 minutes and you run with it. Directed free fall. Jot this down and then free fall. Boiling Molly's hat, Terry thought. Boiling Molly's hat, Terry thought. Hit pause, free fall for 5 or 10 minutes, see where you go. Welcome back. Another directed free fall. If you're bored, you can skip it, but if you're having fun, if you're finding this interesting, then give it a shot, because on a daily basis, I want you to free fall in your journal. You may find lines to help you produce directed free fall. So this is what I want you to do. We're going to do more than that, but again, what we're doing here is planting seeds. So let's see if this opening line helps you plant any seeds. I'll give you the line, you write it down, then you take 5 or 10 minutes and free fall. The last thought Adrian had before passing out, and free fall. The last thought Adrian had before passing out. Hit pause, free fall. Welcome back. I hope you had fun. And if it was frustrating, that's fine. You know, if it was easy, we'd all be writers. If brain surgery was easy, we'd all be doctors. There can be some frustration to this, but the more you work at it, the more you will produce, the more you will overcome your frustrations. So you can find opening lines in books. Yes, steal a line from a book. What a great line. Let's see what you do with it in free fall. You can find lines online, by eavesdropping, or even in your undirected free fall. You're writing undirected free fall, you produce a line and you think, oh man, that line is interesting in and of itself. So then what you do is you stop your undirected free fall, you write that line down, and you free fall using that line as your beginning to see where it takes you. That's why you should journal using undirected and directed free fall. So free fall is a great way to overcome your internal editor, internal censor, great way to gesture sketch, great way to simply practice writing, exercise your creative self. So that's free fall, ladies and gentlemen. If you need to pause to get a drink, go to the bathroom, whatever, hit pause and then come back and we will carry on with the webinar. If you're having fun, simply stick with me and we shall go to the next slide. I now want to introduce you to something called clustering. What is clustering? Some of you might know it as mind mapping, and for some of you it might be brand new. Clustering is a form of word association or brainstorming. It helps you put all you associate with a topic on paper before you actually write. You know how a cartoon character, their feet move, 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 and then they run? Well, clustering is your legs, your feet moving before you run. It's getting down on paper everything you associate with what's called a key word or phrase before you start to write about it. It actually reduces the time you spend pondering your subject matter as you write, because you've pondered it through clustering and you've got down everything you associate with the topic. Frees your brain up to focus on the writing. It also sparks writing ideas by sparking thoughts you would not have otherwise produced. It helps you tap into your subconscious. Pull the thinking, the thoughts, the ideas you have buried out. Get them down on paper. You would not have otherwise thought of the words, the phrases, the associations with what's called the keyword if you hadn't clustered. So it helps you tap into your subconscious. The question is, how do you cluster? I'm going to tell you verbally here, and then I'm going to show you an image, just so you know. So to cluster, you write a keyword or phrase in the middle of a page. You underline and circle that keyword or phrase. Then you draw a dash from the circle and write down the first word or phrase you associate with the keyword. You circle that new word or phrase. The circling the new word or phrase is optional. You might write down the word or phrase and just draw a dash from that and write down the new word or phrase. Circle it or not, draw a dash, write down the new word or phrase. At some point, this cluster string will come to an end. Go back to your keyword or phrase. This is the word or phrase that is circled and underlined, and cluster from it. Start a new string. What else do you think about? When I think of this word, I think of. When I think of that word, I think of. When I think of that word, I think of. People sometimes ask me, what if, can I write down more than a word? Yes, you can write down a phrase. What if I write down a sentence? I don't have a problem. What if thinking of the words I associate with the keyword, I write down a paragraph? So be it. I have sometimes clustered 2 or 3 words and then moved into freefall. In other words, I have tapped into a vein, an idea vein that I want to write about. But initially, I want you to try to get down as many spider's webs filled with words as possible. 2 association strings, 22, however many you get down, and end when you end. So let's see. I'm going to show you a fully produced cluster here. Clustering the word clustering. We see if we go off to the right, word association, brainstorming, mind mapping, treasure hunt, pieces of 8. So if I'm writing about clustering, will I use all that I jot down in my cluster in my writing about clustering? No, but I will find words and phrases and ideas that I want to use. Like I want to tell you, clustering is a right brain exercise. It leads to left brain or outline or linear writing. So if I'm going to write about clustering, I want to tell you about that. Clustering is a way of conducting research. It's internal research. Also, if you're clustering a keyword that you want to write about, you might find out that you don't have everything in mind that you need to write about, and you have to do external research. Go to other sources like the web or Google. You see how we're following the threads? Everything I associate with clustering. Let's go down to the bottom. Clustering, grapes, a cluster of grapes. Grapes is Don Cherry's nickname. He's a guy who talked in stream of consciousness. It's like his talking was freefall, was writing without a parachute. That's how I came up with freefall, with writing without a parachute, those names by clustering. I don't have to tell you about grapes or Don Cherry, but I do have to tell you about stream of consciousness, freefall, and writing without a parachute. So you don't use everything you jot down in clustering. you use which is appropriate, but you may not come up to that which is appropriate without doing the clustering. So I'm just going to go back. So what I want you to do is cluster. You're going to produce something like this. It may be messier than this. Okay, I confess I did my cluster, the word clustering. It was such a mess. I didn't want to show it to you. So then I reclustered it, looking at my cluster to make something that was a little neater. Not totally neat, but a little neater. So what I'm going to do is give you some words or phrases to cluster, and this is what you're going to produce. You're gesture sketching. You're looking for ideas. You're conducting internal research on the topic. When your clustering comes to an end, you can flip into freefall. Glancing at your clusters may be required to keep you free falling, or you can jot down cluster words, phrase, and flip into directed freefall. So when you finish your clustering, you can use it to help inspire your freefall. When your clustering comes to an end, you can also review your cluster and jot down a list of words or phrases from your cluster in the order you think you should write about them. And then using freefall, you write, typo, writer, you write from word to word. So clustering is a pre-writing exercise. Sorry, I don't have the words that I want you to cluster in this PowerPoint. So I'm just going to give you a word, and then I want you to take 5 or 10 minutes and cluster it, okay? So the first word, again, this is without purpose. This doesn't have to lead anywhere. I just want you to experiment with clustering. The first word I want to give you is apple, A-P-P-L-E. Write down apple, underline it, circle it, and then cluster the word apple. Take 5 minutes, cluster apple, and then come back to the webinar, and I will give you another word to cluster. Go, cluster away. Welcome back to the webinar. I hope you clustered the heck out of apple. And if you were writing about apple, if you wanted to write about it, now that you finish your cluster, you could freefall. You can pull out some key words that have come down, write them down, and use it like a directed freefall. Or you can say to yourself, if I'm going to write about apple, here are the words and phrases I should write about. I should write about them in this order. Jot them all down. This is moving from right brain to left brain, and then write from word to word. Okay? So let me give you another word to cluster. You'll take 5 minutes and cluster it. The next word I want you to use to cluster is season. Cluster the word season. Take 5 minutes and see where you go with it. Welcome back. I want to give you a few more cluster words. I'm not going to ask you to cluster them. I'm going to ask you to jot them down and to use them for clustering homework. Okay, so jot down the following words. Health, H-E-A-L-T-H, health. Try clustering that at some point. Family. Try clustering the word family, or if you're motivated, cluster parents or siblings. So those are aspects of family. So family, parents, siblings, brother, sister, cluster. One other word, pet, P-E-T. There are several definitions for pet. I will not give you any. Cluster the word pet, P-E-T, and see where it takes you. I'm going to give you a final word to cluster. So again, this is homework. Words that you should cluster. The last word is the word me, M-E. That's me as in you, not me as in me. So cluster the word me. See where that takes you. Cluster it extensively. If you're thinking about writing a memoir or autobiography or a personal essay, clustering the word me can be very useful. Again, when you finish clustering a word, you can flip into freefall. You can jot down cluster words or phrases and use them to help you with directed freefall. Or you can jot down a list of words, an outline as it's called, and freefall right from word to word to word. In the next webinar, so you've got some homework, we're going to look more formally at how to outline your fiction or nonfiction book. In the next webinar, we're going to get your work to the point where it is all over but the writing, which is the place every professional writer wants to be before starting to write. So we're going to look at formal, detailed outlines, and you're going to see how having a formal, detailed outline in front of you will help you produce a short blog post, a short story, a novel, a work of nonfiction. The links to the next webinar will be posted at paulima.com/PWYC. There are a number of my webinars there. Some are pay what you can. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not about the money. If you see a webinar that looks interesting and you see me saying, and you can pay me, ignore that. You can take any of my webinars for free. So go to paulima.com, pay what you can, PWYC, and you will see when the outline webinar is posted. You'll see a link to the Creative Writing Getting Started webinar and other webinars and free webinars on me and my MS if you are interested in watching me pontificate about multiple sclerosis. If you think, oh man, how often do I have to go back to that page to see when the outline webinar is posted? Let me save you the trouble. If you have any questions, comments, or thoughts about the webinar, want to give me feedback on your experience, or want me to tell you when the outline webinar is available, email me, paulmslima, paulmslima@gmail.com. Ask me any questions, make any comments, give me your thoughts about this webinar. If you've used it to help you write, want to give me some feedback on your experience, feel free. If you want to know when the outline webinar is available, ask me to put you on file and to tell you when that's available. We've come to the end of the webinar. I want to brag about something, ladies and gentlemen, so please stick with me for 2 more minutes. Before we end, let me brag about something chronic, a sick novel. 4 people with various maladies rent a house together. Life happens. You can read the beta reader comments at paulima.com/chronic. And ladies and gentlemen, again, this is not about me trying to sell you the book. I'm happy to give you the PDF if you go to if you email paulmslima@gmail.com. You can request the PDF of Chronic or of any other of my books at paulima.com/books, and I will send you the PDFs. I can't send you the print, EPUB, or Kindle copies of the books. There are links to them there, but I am happy to send you the PDFs. I have an illness. It is called MS. It has inspired the book Chronic, a sick novel. If you are at all ill, have a disease, have a sickness, know somebody who does, I would suggest you read Chronic. I'm going to give something away. It's about how people with various maladies fight for their lives. If you're looking at the cover and you're thinking, that's kind of weird, it's a painting that the main character, whose name happens to be Paul, who happens to have MS, does. He's also a writer and a speaker, and you can see how he fights for his life in Chronic, as do his 3 other roommates. Again, read the beta reader comments at paullehman.com, Chronic. I'm bragging about this book because I'm really freaking proud of it. It's kind of like the culmination of my 20 years of battling this illness. One day I said, screw it. I'm tired of it. Let me write about it. And ladies and gentlemen, if you're sick and you want to write about your illness, don't say, oh, Paul's written about it, I can't. You write your book. If you want the PDF of Chronic or any of my other books, Paul, mslima@gmail.com. Ask for the books. I will send you the PDFs. Ask any questions. Give me any comments you have, thoughts about the webinar. Tell me about your writing experience. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Creative Writing, Getting Started, based on the book Unblock Writer's Block, How to Face It, Deal with It, and Overcome It. That book has a whole lot more exercises that you can do to help you nurture your writing. If you want to read about it and my other books, go to paullehman.com/books. And if you want to know more about me, go to paullehman.com and you can read about me and the stuff I do, which I do less and less of every day at my website. I hope you have enjoyed this webinar. I hope you have got some writing done. I hope you feel inspired and motivated. And if you feel frustrated, that is natural. I have been writing for 35 years. There are days I still feel frustrated with my writing, but I have learned how to keep on plugging away at it and overcome that frustration. Produce my books, produce my blogs, produce my writing. Thank you for taking the webinar. Have a good day. Have good writing. Enjoy your writing. Do take care. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.